Hey everybody, welcome to the webinar. Great to have everybody here. Welcome ninjas. We are so excited to have this presentation with our guest teacher Bradley T. Morris. Bradley, how you doing, buddy?
I am so happy to be here. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome stuff. I'm going to hand over to Bradley, but before we do that, just a few housekeeping. Guys, as you're joining, please introduce yourself. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I'm from, it's actually pretty wide range of locations here. So I'm in Sydney, Australia. Bradley's on the west coast of Canada, and Jenny's on the other coast in Toronto. So, well, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, close enough. So, we got all kinds of climates, all kinds of geography. Awesome to see everybody here. Hey, Jeff, welcome. Hey, Alan, welcome. Hey, Yop. Hey, Penny. Good to see you, Penny. What's up, Rody? Good to have you, Jono. Hey, Tim. Good to see you here. Guys, as we get started, I know this is a hugely popular topic. There's lots of interest. We have tons of registrants to this session. So if you have questions along the way, don't forget to pop them in the questions area in the questions tab right next to the chat tab, or you can hit that plus sign where you chat and submit something as a question. Now, if you do see a question already that is similar to yours and you want to upvote it, make sure you upvote it because we'll order the questions by upvotes. Even if you have a question now in your head that you want to just get it out there so you don't forget, pop it in there now or throughout today's presentation. We're going to have some time for Q&A to make sure we answer some of those concerns you might have. I wanted to invite Bradley Morris today to talk about this topic because when I got to know him a little bit recently, I learned that he decided to get off social media for the last 6 years and was able to grow his business despite that. And what made it so interesting is that he runs a media company, right? He's the founder of MAJIK Media. They create all kinds of great stuff. He teaches marketing and sales. He also creates audio movies, which is incredible. He publishes children's books. It's pretty incredible what he's done over the years. And I'm just really fascinated with this idea. For those who don't know, I took a hiatus off social media in 2017 for 18 months. I really just got overwhelmed. I mean, just to put it out there, to be vulnerable, I couldn't, I didn't have the bandwidth in my head anymore to constantly think about what I need to post and if I'm sharing enough and if I'm being authentic enough and if I'm doing everything in public or not or blah, blah, blah. And is this the persona I want to be? And I just wanted to create great work and create a great product and serve my audience. I just wanted to, it's almost like I felt like I didn't sign up for this. Like I just wanted to create a good business. It's it. I didn't mean to be a celebrity, but one of the things that Bradley and I talked about in our chat together, because we are publishing a podcast episode for the $100 MBA show, is just also the concept of how much time social media takes, and not only the time you're on the screen. That's the easy thing, right? That's not a big deal. But also the time you are thinking about social media when you're having an experience and you're thinking about, oh, I should capture this, or what should I put in Twitter? What's the caption I should put under this image for Instagram? And or even the conversations you have with friends, like I'm frustrated with this tweet that I saw, and all the time it sucks from you. So I'm interested in hearing what Bradley has to say. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to Bradley Morris. Go ahead, Bradley. Love having you here. I'm going to switch you over to the main screen. Thanks again, Bradley, for taking the time.
Oh, thank you, Omar, and thank you, everybody, for being here. I don't usually feel nervous doing webinars, but there's like a tinge of nervousness and excitement because I think it's a timely topic for everybody here. I mean, it's something that I've had hundreds of conversations about this specific topic. When I left social media, which we'll get into, it was a terrifying decision. I thought about it for 3 years before I finally took the leap. And man, I'm so grateful that I did. And I'm hopeful that today's presentation will inspire some of you to take the leap and potentially free yourself. So
yeah.
I'm going to share my screen. I made a fun presentation for this one. Can you see my screen right now? Can you see what I'm seeing?
Yeah, we see the slides. Yeah.
Okay. So welcome to business without social media. So just imagine what that would look like for you. Imagine, say, a year from now, you're a year away from the moment where you broke free from social media. And maybe you're like, maybe you check in once in a while, but maybe you're totally free. And your brain cells have completely grown back to their original formation. And you've got all these new creative ideas, passions, hobbies, and you got so much more time. That is what this is ultimately about. And it's about some other things that we're going to get into. So I would love to just see in the chat, why do you wish to escape from social media? What are some of the reasons? Like, if you're thinking, man, I would love to figure this out where I don't have to be thinking of content and posting, coming up with conversations, scrolling the wall, etc. I would love to just know in the chat here. Too time consuming, uncertainty, time sink, too much time. So time is a big thing. It's a vortex of your attention. Yes. Massive cost, minimal, unquantifiable. Yes. Feels like, wow, this is amazing. Could be a deep hole. You got to save this transcript. Look at this.
Yeah, I love it.
Consuming, distractions, great content creator, but you're introverted. The pressure, the obligation, too much noise. It's a distraction. Amen to that. Requires a lot of time to be consistent. You're introverted, feels awkward. Taking you away from your truth. I can relate to that. People are nuts and want to be off the platforms. It's constant to keep it running.
Yeah, Bradley, I
glitchy,
think,
is that right?
yeah, I was about to interrupt you. I think at some point, like maybe a minute ago, your microphone switched out.
Okay, I'm going to just put it down the shirt and put it on my stand here. Okay, let me see here. Maybe it was rubbing up against my beard or something. How's that? Better?
No, I think the actual mic switched out. Like, it sounds different than it was. Maybe it's turned off or...
Let me see here in the settings.
Now we don't hear you. Now we hear you again. Keep going.
Okay. You hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, that's weird. I'm just going to my regular headphones, so my apologies if the sound is...
No, it sounds great.
Less than awesome. Okay, cool. No more crackling. We're winning. Okay, so obviously we just saw, I mean, there must have been at least 100 reasons. Time was one of the biggest ones. The distraction, pulling you away from what you really want to be doing with your life. So now I'm going to go back to the presentation here. Okay, so those are reasons why. So why did I leave and what fears came up? I mean, ultimately, I wanted to leave because it was like all of you. It was just taking up so much of my brain's bandwidth, or I like to call it my brain width. And we only have so much brain width to process information, to process our own emotions, reality, life. We only have so much time in a day. And I mean, content creation wasn't necessarily what it is today. The expectation, if you're on social media, to constantly be feeding the bottomless pit, the hungry monster called the wall that is never ending. It is as infinite as space because it just keeps going. And as creators, we're supposed to keep coming up with brilliant content, inspiring memes, beautiful videos. Like, it's just endless. And so for me, I had a moment. This is me over on the mountain here. I had this moment. My son was just born. And this was 6 years ago. And I'm sitting on a mountain by myself on my island here, Salt Spring Island, BC. I'm watching a beautiful sunset. And as I was watching the sunset, I was in awe of the beauty. But then I became a witness of something that I was noticing was becoming more and more common in my life. Well, in this present moment, I was thinking about the future moment and how I would describe the present moment of this beauty that I was observing when I posted to Facebook about that sunset I was experiencing. And it was in that moment when I snapped back out of it and I realized my brain had been completely hacked by the algorithm, that I was no longer experiencing life. I was thinking in the form of posts for future social media things that would get me likes, that would get me comments. No longer was I just experiencing the experience for the sake of my own self and my own life experience. It was for other people to validate my experience. And when that hit me, it was like a slap in the face. And it was literally the next day I crafted my email and I said, I'm leaving. And I deleted my accounts. And it was terrifying. I had been thinking about it a bunch for the 3 years leading up, as I said, and I hadn't acted because I didn't know, but I was starting to compile a list and telling friends and family members, like, I think I'm going to go soon. It doesn't feel good anymore. And so I was collecting people's names and emails. Number one, if you're going to leave, go through your whole friend list and reach out to every single person that matters to you. Get their name, their phone number, their city, like get their information so that you have that, because it's really, really important for what I'm going to be sharing in a little bit. So some of the reasons, I mean, as this little character, that's me sitting on the mountain. And what I felt like was that phone, that social media was a distraction, and it was a drain on my batteries. It was a drain on my creativity. It was a drain on my brilliance. It was a drain on me feeling like I was living in alignment with my purpose. And honestly, I didn't know what I was going to do when I left, but I just knew I had to leave. And think about this. I'm young with a baby that's brand new, and I'm leaving behind my number one marketing tool for building my business. It was terrifying. So the reasons, here's some reasons, and I think you can all vouch for this. I mean, I haven't been around social media with the wars that have been taking place in the last bunch of years here, but it sounds like a wasteland. So rather than connects us, it divides us. Rather than being inspired, we feel anxious we're on the platforms. Pay attention to that. Rather than building friendships, we get followers. This is a twisted way on human connection. We're trying to get people to follow us rather than build real friendships. Rather than creating more connection, we have more loneliness in the world than ever before. Rather than feeling safe to share our thoughts, we censor them, and the platforms censor them for us if they don't like what we're saying. And rather than being free, we become addicted to our devices, which is the opposite of freedom. So what was leaving actually like? So I took the leap. I deleted my accounts. I remember people were like, "You'll be back." and so I deleted the accounts. And I will say the next, I would say, I think 3-4 months is kind of a blur, as you know, life is. But it honestly felt like I was erased. It felt like I was completely erased from reality. It wasn't like my friends started picking up the phone and calling me. It wasn't like people were reaching out and be like, "Hey, we're having a party. Why don't you come?" Or, "Hey, there's this great event. You should come check it out." It was literally like none of that happened. And that was really sobering. It was like, wow, these Facebook friends weren't real friends, because real friends pick up the phone. Real friends invite you out. Real friends want to hang out. And so when I realized that, I knew I needed to figure out, how do we live in a world without social media? How do I grow my business without social media? How do I create real village around my family and I that we're connected to people, and I don't need these apps and these devices? And understand, we live on a small island, 10,000 people on my island. The third year my son was born, we had a massive storm between the winter solstice and New Year's Eve. Our power was out for 10 days. We were dependent on neighbors to clear our driveway of like a half a dozen trees that fell across it. We couldn't get out. We were dependent on neighbors to use their showers if they had power, to cook some food. This is real life. Like, what is the meaning of village mean to you, wherever you live, whether you live in the country, you live in the city? Who are your people? Our relationships are such an important part of us feeling connected, like we belong to something bigger. And so I started at square one, because at the time, we'd only been living on Salt Spring Island for about 4 years. And So we were just starting to grow roots in the community. And a year after leaving social media, my loneliness was, it was getting to a point, because I'm an outgoing person, that I knew I needed to do something. And so I started a club kind of accidentally on my island called Man Ventures. And basically for the last 5 years, this group of guys, which is a lot of dads, every Tuesday we get together, and whatever guys show up, we choose what adventure we do the following week. And it's
Bradley, I'm sorry to interrupt you badly, but the crackling of your audio, I don't know if the mic switched back or something, or...
No, that's so strange. Is it still crackling?
Yeah.
Check 1, check 2.
Do you hear it, Jenny?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so bizarre. Okay, let me just check again. Stop sharing. Sorry, everybody.
No, that's all good.
These things happen.
No headphones. Is that any better?
No, it's still crackling. I don't know if it's maybe
Okay, I'm gonna try the settings again. Check 1, check 2. How's that?
there's a bit
Any
of crackling. Bradley, why don't you just refresh your screen? Maybe that will solve it. Just refresh.
Like
and,
refresh the webinar screen?
yeah, and you'll come back. Don't worry.
Okay.
Well, you're better now, actually. He should be back.
Angelia says it's social media platform interfering.
Okay, how we doing now?
Great, perfect.
We're good?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. All right, let's get back to it.
Yeah, so sorry about that. I just wanted to.
Oh, it's okay. Gotta love those tech glitches. Okay, here we go. I think it's probably Mark Zuckerberg. He heard this conversation was happening today, and he's like, "Get in there, hackers! Mess with his mic! Make the people leave! They can't hear this!"
Yeah,
Okay,
maybe.
so what we realized is we needed to build village around us. That's like the bottom line. We had to create village, and we have. My son, we homeschool him. He has a beautiful life. We have amazing friends around us. I have this crew of guys. We'll get anywhere from 6 to 20 guys out on a Tuesday night. We've had the most wild and crazy adventures that you can't even really dream up, because it's different every Tuesday. And that's helped us to build a foundation of community in the real world, which has been beautiful. But let's get into the business side of things. So this has been my biggest discovery since leaving, is that the world doesn't need more social media. Let me know if you agree. If you agree, the world doesn't really need more social media. What we need is more social connection. We need to be getting together. We need to be collaborating. We need to be building real communities and real relationships with people that we care about and who care about us. So my question to you, and this might be a sobering one, and there's a calculation I'm going to share later on, but just in the chat, write down, how much time do you think you spend per week on social media? It could be scrolling, it could be writing content, it could be doing live streams, whatever it is. How much time do you spend on social media? Let me know in the chat. Too much, 7 hours, 0, no more social media, 15 hours, 10 hours. Okay, cool. So 20 hours, 10 hours. So let's just pretend it's an average of 10 hours. Let's just go with that average. Is like, let's just say you're doing 10 hours. Now, how much money does your social media generate for you? Write down that if you want. If you want to keep that a secret, you know in your heart how much money you're actually generating from social media. So not enough. Zip, 0. Imagine you're spending 10 hours a week on social media, 40 hours per month. 400, is that 480 hours a year? That's a lot. And if you're not getting enough, or you're not making much, or you're only making a little bit, that's, social media is kind of like the casino. It's a gamble. You're not guaranteed to win that game. So you need to take control in ways that you could win the game. And then the other honest question that this little character was asking himself, which that little character is me, is how fulfilling is being on social media for you? How much satisfaction do you get on the day-to-day basis? Do you enjoy it? None, 0. So yeah, scale of 1 to 10. How much satisfaction? 10 being you love it. You look forward to making your content and engaging with your people on there. Very little, 0. This is some good, honest truth here. So let's go back. 7 to 8. I mean, if you're getting 7 to 8 satisfaction on social media, then maybe it's worth sticking around a little bit longer. But if you're getting a 2 out of 10, 0 out of 10, I think you're going to love some of the solutions we're about to get into here. So let's get back to the slides. Okay, so my question now is, what would you do with all the extra time you could have if you didn't do social media? Think about that. So say you're doing that 10 hours a week or 15 hours a week of social media time. And you probably complain because you don't have enough time for all the other things you want to do in your life. So what are some of the things you would be doing in your life if you didn't do social media? Get that 10 hours back. Get that 15 hours back. What could you be doing? How much more fun could you be having? What could you do to cultivate more relationships in your life? Meeting with clients, write more business. So that is something to hold on to. And I encourage you, if you're not writing it in the chat, write it down on a piece of paper. Come up with 10 things you would love to be doing more of if you replace that social media time with time better spent. For me, my work days decreased from like anywhere from 9 to 12-hour work days to 6-hour work days. I work 6 hours a day now, and that's with having a kid, that's running 2 businesses, that's playing professional golf. I golf 6 days a week. So what can you do with all that time? Who could you become without that social media eating at your brain? Okay, let's get back to it. So write down those answers. Daydream about that a little bit, about what would you do with an extra 5, 10, 15, 20 hours a week. That's an extra 40 hours a month. You could go on a vacation every single month and meet the coolest people. So 6 years later, what has changed for me? So much has changed. So again, as I said, I play golf 6 days a week at first light in the mornings. This time of year in Canada is pretty darn dark at 6 a.m. So I literally go out with a headlamp on and glow in the dark golf balls, and I play in all the weather possible. And then I compete professionally. My work hours are 6 hours a day on average. I hike, I adventure more with my family. My wife and I have agreed to give each other a weekend vacation every single month, where she'll take the kiddo, or I'll take the kiddo, or I'll go play tournaments, or leave her home for a retreat. That every month it's baked into our family life that we get monthly vacations. And my income has increased every single year since leaving social media. Not 1 year, even that first year, my revenue went up. So how do you do business without social media? How do you win that game? And I have one word for you. And every year on New Year's Eve, I have a tradition of picking a word that I try to make a part of my integrated day-to-day theme in life. This year, my word is joy, because last year was a freaking grind building the businesses. It was hard because I'm only working 6 to 6.5 hour days, that my brain would literally be fuming because we were building our Magic Kids company last year while building Magic Media. So this year, joy is the theme of bringing joy into all the things that I do. But that first year that I left social media, this was my mantra: relationships. Back to relationships, the old-fashioned kind of relationships where you call people, you pick up the phone and call friends spontaneously. You pick up the phone and you try and network that way. You meet people in real life. It was, for me, it was like, how do I work with people I really love? How do we bring all of our gifts to the things that we're doing and do it together? And how can that leverage everything? And that mantra, relationships, was the year I left social media and the year after that. I had that same word as my mantra. I had to get back to the roots of how our grandparents networked and connected, how our parents networked and connected when they were our age, or my age anyways. So that really was what transformed me, that transformed how I build community, both online and in person on my island here. and how I go about building Magic Media and now Magic Kids. So, collaborative. I'm going to go through a bunch of the different ways that you can leverage relationships to leverage your life's work and grow a more beautiful business that's more profitable without having to do social media. So this first one, collaborative. When my son was born, we launched an online course called the Great E-Course Adventure. It was a 9-month production project. Imagine Indiana Jones meets Saturday Night Live, and the theme of it is a journey up the mountain to launch summit where every step of the way you're learning how to build the most awesome online course you can possibly imagine. We shot it all on green screen. We had comedic, hilarious characters come in and to teach all the lessons. And I didn't have the budget to fund a 9-month production project. But what I did have is this common vision that we were trying to build. And I enrolled a couple of my buddies, a techie designer and a production wizard. And we all built it together as business partners. And that kind of sparked how I've done business since, is enrolling people in my vision and bringing them in as revenue share partners, business partners, doing it so that it's like, hey, you're over there and you're doing work that you don't enjoy. Here's a cool project that'll be a lot of fun if we did it together. Let's do it together and share in the money that we're going to make along the way. And so collaborative, who do you have in your life that you could collaborate with, that you would love to collaborate with? People that have complementary skills so that you don't have to be the everything person. People that might be inspired to work with you on the thing that you're doing because they might be doing something that's less than ideal, or they may not have the creative control that they're really looking for in their life as an artist. There's a lot of artists out there that are dissatisfied that if you give them the opportunity to step into a project that's fun and that allows them to really express their creative gifts, you're probably going to get some yeses. And I'm going to get more into that about how I'm doing that with some of the other things that I'm working on right now. So the next, you all know about affiliate marketing, but how many of you do it? How many of you have affiliate marketing as a part of your business model? Is it something that you think about? Affiliate marketing is amazing, especially if you're launching workshops, if you're launching an event, if you're launching a retreat, if you have an online software like Webinar Ninja. Having an affiliate partner that is helping to promote you to their audience is easy. It's fun because you get to build those connections. You can do it for launches, or you can just have it be evergreen. Like for us inside Magic Media, we've got all these resources, and inside the resources are tons of different affiliate links to products that we use and recommend. But it can also be for your workshops, your retreats, etc. There's so much software out there that makes building affiliate partnerships really easy. We use ThriveCart a lot. It's cheap. It's $500 one-time payment. You can build all your shopping carts and affiliate stuff. If anybody else has software that you recommend for your shopping cart for doing affiliate stuff, put it in the chat so other people can see and shop around and see what works for them. Next, we have licensing. So between 2009,
Bradley, sorry, Bradley, to interrupt. I'm seeing in the chat that the Zuckerberg crackling is back. I don't know if we can. Yeah, maybe. I don't know if you're
Zuckerberg.
Yeah, let's maybe switch to the laptop mic. Maybe there will be no interference there. Yeah, I hear you. Well, a little bit of interference.
Check 1, check 2, check 3, check 4.
Yeah, there's a bit of kind of snow in the background.
Static,
like
yeah.
Static, yeah.
That's so strange. Okay. Let me try switching back. Otherwise, I can try refreshing.
This is better now, actually. Sorry. Yeah, the static kind of died down. Now it's good. Yeah.
It's better?
Yeah.
Are we winning?
No
Okay.
Yeah, we're ready.
Keep me posted. Just keep interrupting if it comes back. Let's get through this
Don't worry.
blizzard.
Yeah.
All right. So licensing. Between 2009 and 2012, I led about 500 meditation workshops. I did retreats around the world. At the end of 2012, I'd finished a retreat in Peru, and I just came to the conclusion that I was done teaching meditation. But it felt wrong to walk away from this thing that I was building. And so that was when I committed. I told myself, I'm going to spend the next few years and I'm going to build a world-class meditation library that I feel proud of. My goal was to have something that would be on Mind Valley. So I got to work when I got back in January that year. and I spent pretty much a year with my buddy Blair producing 48 meditation tracks. I applied to Mindvalley's Omvana app in that process about 5 times. Finally, they took me in, and over the next 6 years, I became their #1 meditation teacher on the app. I've now licensed that exact same 48 track meditation library to about 8 different apps. It's generated hundreds of thousands of dollars of passive income for me. I've never had to market anything. I've never had to do anything with those tracks once they get up on the platforms. Those platforms build my audience, they build my followers, they build my revenue. So if you're recording courses, if you're recording an audio library, whether it's meditation, mindfulness, hypnosis, whatever it might be, audio, if you're doing transformational work, is far more effective than a video. And you can license those audio tracks to institutions, to online schools, to apps, to other companies that are in your niche. And you can do that non-exclusively, meaning you can have the exact same content across many different platforms. Right now, for my company, MAJIK Kids, any of you parents on here, check it out, MAJIK kids.com. That's my commercial right there. We produce really epic audio movie style stories for kids. And we're building an app right now that's going to feature new audio stories, imagination meditations, and sing-along music every Saturday morning. The music and the meditations that we are going to be licensing, it's a licensing thing. We're not producing everything. We're producing probably 70% of the content on the app, but the rest will be licensing from other people, and they will earn based on content engagement. So one of the things you can do, let's just say you teach meditation or you've got a bunch of guided audio meditations, you can just search, spend 2 hours, or get your assistant to spend 2 hours searching meditation apps and make a big long list and send them a pitch with some samples of your best tracks. And chances are you'll get a bunch of people replying, and you can start to license those. And some of them pay quarterly, some of them pay annual, some pay per play, some pay just to buy your whole library outright. But it's been amazing. I have monthly income, quarterly income, and I get these big fat checks once a year for a few of them that are really fun to receive. So licensing is one of the least talked about topics. I'm teaching a workshop on it in a few months here about licensing your stuff, specifically in the meditation mindfulness space. But there's massive, massive opportunity there, and you don't have to build a following. These apps will be getting thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of people on their subscription, and then they just help to put you front and center, and you get paid for that. So licensing is life-changing. It's been life-changing for me.
Yeah, I'm going to just jump in and give a few examples, Bradley. So, licensing is actually quite interesting for marketing as well as a product. So, like, for example, I started out the $100 MBA show, and I wanted to license some of my lessons in video format, and I hooked up with Tuts Plus, and basically Tuts Plus were like, hey, we'll give you X amount of views, and you'll be on our platform, and we'll give these videos out to our subscribers, and it kind of drive traffic to the podcast. So that was really huge. And then as I established the podcast and started growing our podcast, I started getting some interest in licensing the actual episodes in a different format. So, for example, Blinkist, the app that shortens books, they have this thing called Shortcasts, where we license our podcast episodes in a shortened format. And same thing, royalties. We get royalties on that. People come and they check out Blinkist to see our content. They're like, okay, maybe it's worth signing up for Blinkist because I like Omar's content. So we help them and they help us in that way. And they kind of take care of all the business thing. I just create the content and I put it out there. We've done the same thing with Himalaya Media. They asked us to create an audio course on how to start your first online business. That's a licensing deal as well. There's a lot of great ways you can get in front of an audience or a platform that has an existing audience that you want to get in front of. And that's basically what social media is trying to offer you. They're saying, hey, we have all these people here, post on social media and you'll get exposure. Unfortunately, we know that that's not really the case unless you're paying for it, unless you're running ads, and then they'll definitely show you your targeted audience. It's not as effective if it's not paid ads. So licensing is the same thing, except you're getting paid by kind of partnering up with a larger audience.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the beauty. If you don't want to, what I've come to realize is like you don't have to have 10,000 people on your email list. You don't have to have 10,000 followers on social media, or 100,000 or a million. It's really about the quality of relationships that you're establishing, the level of trust, the people you're communicating with on a regular basis, having you, your word, and what it is that you're doing. And with that reputation, you could have, I mean, we've done launches that were $35,000, $40,000 for an email list of 116 people. So it's like, you don't have to have an enormous list to build a profitable business. Yeah, licensing has been life-changing for me. And let's go on to the next one. Guest appearances. So just like we're doing right here, right now, reaching out to podcasts. I mean, that's how Omar and I got connected. As one of my strategies is getting to share this specific flagship webinar that I did. So if you have, this is something that all of our Magic Media partnerships or clients do, is they create a flagship webinar, and then you make a big list of people that you could pitch doing that flagship webinar to, and then you do like a virtual tour of you teaching that exact one webinar to say 10, 12 different audiences. If you taught a flagship webinar every single month, and it could be the exact same one to 12 different audiences, that's really going to increase your chances of having more exposure come to you, people coming to your community, your membership, whatever it is that you're selling from those guest articles, guest video appearances. If you could hop on somebody's YouTube channel or podcast episodes. So guest appearances are beautiful. I mean, you can literally spend 1 hour once you have your template mapped out. Next month, we're actually doing a whole process with this. But if you have your email template for podcast outreach, you could literally send 10 or more podcast outreach emails in an hour. It's really, really easy if you just have that focused space to do it. So guest appearances, think about the things that you would like to appear on. Either do the research for 2-3 hours, come up with a big list, and then spend another 2-3 hours reaching out to book those dates. The next is profit sharing. So when you have many minds working together and sharing in the glory that you're creating, lots of good things can happen. Whether it's building an online membership and it's you and a bunch of teachers. So for example, our flagship membership called the Creators Club for creators, I have 3 other coaches that we all market it, we all coach inside of it, and we all share in the revenue from the Creators Club. And that's beautiful because when you have many hands working, the work is much, much easier. And it's a higher end membership, but it's beautiful. We get to do intimate work with a group of people that are growing their businesses. Magic Kids, so we are the first ever fair trade publishing company. 50% of our revenue goes back to the artists that we collaborate with through the app subscription sales, which will be going live this spring, and through book revenue for all the illustrated books that we're doing. So that is a profit sharing model where our artists become our ambassadors. So if you can figure out creative ways where you're building something with a group of other people who are also invested in the best outcome for the thing, you can do that together. You can all share in the profit and find a fair model where everybody's being compensated fairly. And that's a beautiful way to go because, again, it's relationship based and you're all invested in the same outcome. The next, and this is where we're venturing into with Magic Kids now, is sponsorships. So finding aligned companies and businesses that can sponsor your events. This is essentially a Webinar Ninja sponsored event that I'm speaking at right now. And you can reach out to sponsors to sponsor a community, to sponsor a workshop, to sponsor a retreat, to sponsor your podcast show. There's plenty of aligned companies who would love to partner with you if you put together a good enough pitch and you made it a fair exchange monetarily for what they're going to get in return. And so think about that. You could make a simple 10-page slide deck that inspire sponsors to do it. We're doing this right now to reach out to more authors to become storytellers and more musicians to join us. And it's just a simple, beautiful 10-page slide deck that helps to educate them on who we are, what we're doing, and how they could contribute to what it is that we're up to. So I would say like sponsorships are a great one if you've got a show, if you're doing an event that you can guarantee eyeballs and people to come to. So I'm not saying to quit social media today. Social media could work for you. And I would say, here's my biggest pieces of advice after working with hundreds of people over the last 6 years who have either stepped away from social media or they've just tightened up their social media games. Number one, you have to have a social media strategy. You have to know what your purpose is on social media. How often do you post? What are you posting? When is your creation time? When is your scrolling time? You need to have that strategy in place so you don't waste your time. Because if you're wasting your time, you get less time to do the things that you love to do in your life. Number two, you need a schedule, a publishing schedule, whether you post once a day at 7 a.m. or you post 3 times a day at 7, noon, and 4. You need to have that schedule in place. Something I tell all of our clients is like, you're a media company. If you're teaching on the internet, you're a media company, you're a publishing company. Publishing companies have schedules. So what is your publishing schedule? Where I'm actually teaching a workshop this week for 3 hours on Friday that you can join that is basically scheduling your success for the next 3 to 6 months of all of your different things that you have to schedule in so that you can actually show up and get those things done. Next is discipline. Take the apps off your phones if you have to. Hide the phone. We have a phone box in my house here that we put the phones in the box, and then we put the box in the back of the pantry, so it's super awkward if I get caught in the pantry looking at my phone. So be disciplined with your devices. Be disciplined with social media. I'm in the habit, I carry a journal around like I used to before I was addicted to social media, and I write all my ideas down in my journal after hours so that I don't have to put them into my phone. And then have a team. If you can afford a team, if you can afford somebody to do all your social media, then do it. We're for Magic Kids, and we started in last October. We're working with the Harmon brothers. I don't know if any of you have seen the Squatty Potty commercial with the unicorn that poops out rainbow swirls for the little poop stool that goes up against your toilet. So that's our marketing team. We're working with for the Magic Kids brand. And we did a bunch of social media experiments for Facebook. They were helping us do all the ads, but our end game is not on Facebook. Our end game is actually on YouTube, where we're going to be posting all these comedy videos for parents to sell them on our app. I'm not the guy on Facebook. We're getting other people to do it. Facebook is a part of that strategy. So that's just a precursor. Like, I've done everything up until now. That's the first time I've done Facebook since. It felt very, very dirty getting back in there and looking at the interface. And I'm grateful I wasn't the one to be doing it on the day-to-day. So that is a part of our strategy. It's a short-term strategy so that we can learn about our audience, because it is a good way to learn about your audience. But it's not where we're investing tons and tons of time. So here's a magic formula for you to know if you're wasting your time. So the magic formula is the money you're getting from social media. So let's just say you make $1,000 a week from social media. Write down that number on a piece of paper, write it down in the chat. So let's just say it's $1,000 per week that you're generating on social media. Then divide that by the number of hours you're spending on social media, and that equals the amount you're getting paid per hour you're on social media. This number might be very, very painful for you if you're spending 20 hours a week on social media and you're getting paid next to nothing. That should be a very sobering thing to look at, and that's what it's meant to do. Are you wasting your time? I mean, the number I put in here was if you're not making at least $100 an hour for every hour spent on social media, you should probably evacuate social media. Take a month off, take 3 months off, and watch what happens to your brain cells and watch what happens to your reality. Chances are, out of necessity, out of the primal instincts to survive, you will come up with better ways to spend your time and to still earn revenue. It is literally, we are wired for survival. And if you leave this thing that you've been dependent on for building relationships, connecting, networking, making money, you will probably come up with better ways that are more satisfying and fulfilling for you. So one of the platforms we use a lot, I've built, my company, Magic Media, has built, I think we're building our 15th Mighty Network in the last 3.5 years. Mighty Networks is great because it's your own social media platform. They're not going to censor you. They're not going to block you. You have many different ways that you can use Mighty Networks. I'm not getting paid for Mighty Networks right now for saying this. I just want to say it is a great solution. You have so many different ways that you can do a business model inside of the Mighty Networks domain. If you have a favorite platform where you're building your community, put that in the chat so other people can shop around. We've been using Mighty Networks because it's a great all-in-one solution. So I'm going to encourage you to give yourself a gift. Number one, reevaluate your marketing strategy. If you need help, come to my workshop next month on building your marketing strategy. It's going to be 3 hours, and you're going to walk away with your clear marketing strategy without social media. Number two, decide if it works for you and your business to be on social media. How's it working? I would say after this webinar is done, take 10 minutes and just sit with it. Imagine yourself leaving social media. Watch the anxiety that comes up. Feel if you feel liberated and excited based on some of the ideas I've shared today to pursue a different path instead. And spend a day. I mean, literally spend a whole day, put it in your calendar and book an entire day to make a new plan for your life and for your business. It'll feel really, really good to get out of the regular groove and to come up with some new ideas. And then leave social media if you must. I would say most of you, if you leave, you probably won't regret it, and you'll probably love your life even more. And this is the last one. Protect your time and your consciousness. The algorithms aren't designed to feed you good stuff. They're designed to keep us separated, to divide and conquer, really. I mean, if you look at it honestly, it's not here for your benefit. It's there for the benefit of making profits and keeping people on the platform, which really is not a benevolent entity, if you ask me. So be protective of yourself, of your consciousness, of your thoughts, of your creativity, and of the precious little bit of time that we have while we're on planet Earth, because we only get this one. And you really want to go through your flashbacks of your life flashing before your eyes when you die, and you see the endless scrolling wall, that's not the memories that you want. And I have some workshops coming up that I'm just going to do a quick pitch. If you're curious about any of these, this Friday's Make Your Magic Schedule, 3 hours to really just craft your schedule for the year so you can schedule your success. February 24th, next month, Make Your Magical Marketing Plan without social media. And then 6 months training for any meditation teachers out there. That'll be about licensing, producing, building your whole business. And all those can be found at this magicmedia.com/workshops. That's the end of my commercial. That is, oh, and there's the Creators Club.
That'd be great if you could put that in the chat. magicmedia.com/workshop. Workshops.
That's
or workshops?
Workshops. Yeah.
I got it.
And then if anybody is interested in the Creators Club, you can check that out as well at magicmedia.com. But if this was helpful, share it on social media because I can't.
Guys, thank you so much, Bradley, for that awesome presentation. We're going to get into questions. A few things before we get into questions I want to talk about. The first thing is that one of the big reasons why I wanted to bring Bradley on is I like to interface with people that I don't necessarily agree with 100%. I like to challenge my beliefs, because whenever I feel so dug into my beliefs, I feel like, oh, of course this is a good idea, of course this is a bad idea, I stop and I say, wait a minute, very little things in the world are that black and white. So it's good to kind of confront your beliefs and your ideas. And I love the fact that everybody's been so open and also learning in the chat. The other thing I want to mention is if you are wondering if this is something that you want to try or look into, or you're not even sure what the effects social media has had on you personally, I would definitely just try to get off social media for 1 week. Like, literally do not ever go on social media for 1 week, off your phone, off any browser. It's like as if social media doesn't exist. I found it very surprising, because there's all these habits that you have that you don't even realize you have until you get off. Like, for example, Nicole and I will be out for dinner. Nicole will go to the restroom, and I'm sitting by myself. Right, I'll reach for my phone immediately, and I'm like, well, what? If there's nothing for me to reach for and look at, if there's no social media, then I gotta, I don't know, be lost in my thoughts for once. Think, maybe look at the beautiful couple that's having dinner across the table, and just have it and enjoy the moment and just the atmosphere. And I think that we've kind of lost that, and just having that experiment for a little bit allowed me to think, okay, maybe it has made an impact on me in a way that I didn't realize. So I encourage you guys all to do that. So we're going to jump into the questions. Bradley's got a bunch of questions. Just a quick reminder, guys, we have our members webinar tomorrow. If you want to learn how to earn 10K to get up to 10K a month in creating live courses, selling your own live courses, go ahead and join us. I put the link there in the offer tab. It's absolutely free, so go ahead and join us tomorrow on that webinar. Let's jump into the questions. I got Scott's question is the #1 voted question here. He says, so is the intent to escape because of psychological, sociological or psycho-emotional reasons, or is it because you truly didn't think it was helping you grow your business? I'm going to pass this to you to Bradley, but I'm just going to throw my 2 cents here. It could be related, Scott. Sometimes we forget that our personal feelings and the way we're thinking has no effect on our business. We are leading the business, so if it's affecting us, it's going to affect the business somehow. Just like if I'm not feeling good today, if I'm not motivated, or I feel like just not so happy about what I'm doing, it's going to be hard for me to be a great leader for my team or to run a all hands meeting or whatever. It's going to affect me. So I would just kind of think about, maybe one does relate to the other, but I'm going to pass that to Bradley.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've been meditating for years. I'm aware of how I feel. For me, it just felt grosser and grosser as time went on. I felt less and less inspired and motivated to be hanging out there. But I had the belief that I needed to keep doing the thing in order to keep moving my business forward. I needed to be there. So when I really, that formula that I showed you, like how many hours am I doing this? How much money is it generating me? When I did that math, I was like, I am wasting so much time. Like, what are the other things that I could be doing that would benefit me more, that would benefit my lifestyle, my family, my business more? And so those were like all of the different, I think there was 7 different things that you can do to grow your business without social media. I've done all of those, and all of those are active parts of my businesses right now. So those are all things that you could be integrating into your business.
And I'll just add, because I know Darren's got a similar question here on the next one, saying, I need to promote my business, and social media is one of those tools. If I use social media as a tool and not as a personal channel, then can it be less invasive and acceptable? Definitely, Darren, personally, I think the best use of social media is paid marketing. If you're going to run paid ads, especially like Facebook lead ads where they stay on the platform and, now we're not going to get into the whole moral thing. Like if you feel like, hey, if you personally don't think it's good for you, why are you using it to promote? Like that's another story you got to sort out with yourself. But what I'm saying is that from a tool point of view, I feel like it's going to reward you because you're paying to play, and that's their whole business model. Now, from the point of view of using it as a tool and not really as an invasive tool, this is like me saying, I'm just gonna touch the stove real quick, and make sure that I don't burn myself. Like it's up to you. You're playing with fire sometimes when you're exposed and you're just kind of immersed in it. I know people who are in our space, thought leaders, business owners, podcast hosts, where it's hard for them to know who they really are anymore, because they have the person they project to the world, and they're the person that they have with their family, and it's kind of tough. So I would just tread carefully on that, and just make sure you're using it to benefit your business. Bradley?
Yeah, and I think my biggest suggestion is do the thought experiment before the real experiment. So like taking that day of coming up with as many other creative ways that you can grow your business based on real relationships in the real world. And based on like those 7 things that I talked about: collaboration, guest appearances, sponsorships, licensing partnerships, affiliate marketing, and I know there was a couple others. Anyways, those ones, think about those. Like make a 1-page marketing plan for each one. My tagline for Magic Media is leverage your life's work. All of us have leverageable things. We have a network that we can leverage. We have relationships we can leverage. We have assets that we've written, produced, recorded, facilitated, etc., that we can leverage. So for yourself, ask yourself, like, what do I have to leverage out in the world? Can you license something? Can you leverage your network and come up with new ideas to monetize the people that you have around you or the assets that you've already created that you might not be thinking about? And if you look for those leverage points, chances are you might have a breakthrough. But so many people are just on the one-way track of, I do social media because I have to do social media. But when you step out of that groove for a moment and you just do the thought experiment, and in that thought experiment, you'll probably come up with a whole bunch of new ideas that if you took a break from social media, you would actually have the time to implement.
Love it. Guys, I fixed that link for the webinar tomorrow. Sorry, I had an extra S there, but it should be working now. And I know Nicole popped it in there as well. Nancy's got a question. Where can I find out more about licensing?
I posted a link. I have a blog here. This one I did a couple years ago. Let me see here. Okay, so here's the link. This one is about the different types of licensing. So you can watch that or listen to it. I do have a workshop coming up. So that Business of Meditation course that's on that workshops page, the 4th month is specifically about licensing, where I'll be giving away my exported, my spreadsheet of all the different apps that we've researched for meditation specifically. So you can check that out. We will be selling those as individual standalone classes as well if you're really into the licensing side of this business. But that little video there that I just popped in the link, that'll help.
Love it. Good stuff. Next question is from Yasur Hassan. Yasur says, how do I get more engagement and feedback from my email list? It feels so distant and leaves not knowing how to serve them better. Love it. Good question. I'll let you take this one first, Bradley.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing, I think online marketing jaded me a long time ago, that instead of looking at the people on your email list as real humans, we look at them as leads. And I think we need to switch our mindset of, like, imagine you're writing to, your auntie or your uncle or a close friend. And if you can shift the perspective and how you're communicating with the people that are on your email list as real people rather than leads or people that are going to give you money, that will be one switch that's going to be really helpful. The other piece is, like, how often do you email? I think, if this is a relationship, and a part of a relationship is regular contact. So send them inspirational stuff every week, at least once a week. I tend to email my list 1 or 2 times a week, sometimes 3 times a week, but it's not all sales pitches. It's mostly content to inspire them and to keep them focused on their mission. And then the people can pay me for, like, if they want the actual coaching or if they want to be in our community and that sort of thing. So, it's up to you, but just remember it's a relationship. And if you're to approach it with a relationship with real humans, real feelings, that have real dreams, and your job is to support them to achieve those dreams, what would shift for you in how you approach your email list?
Love it. I have one recommendation here. If you see your email list as a way to tell stories and a way for you to communicate your story, it can be more engaging for them. People are going to look forward to opening it and maybe replying and asking questions and maybe sharing their own stories and all kinds of stuff. A tool that I highly recommend is a deck of cards called Storytelling Tactics. I might do a workshop on this when I'm trying to get a setup where I have an overhead camera and I can pop the cards on my table. But basically, these cards are a way for you to organize your stories, and you can do these stories in a form of an email or an email sequence. So it's a great tool. A lot of people complain about the price. It's about $100 for this deck of cards, but it's really not about the cards. It's about the content. Good stuff.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Angela is saying, what's a good start a good start information to start researching about getting product/services licensed. And I think we have a link here in the chat for the license blog post. So I think that answers that
Yeah.
question.
I do want to add just to that, the secret to licensing, if you want to be paid like a pro, then make stuff that's professional. So when we were working on my meditation library, the goal was like, make this, I mean, our joke was like, Deepak Chopra is going to be impressed with this meditation library. So make something that's world class, because the majority, like, let's just say, like one of the women who's in our creators club, she does birthing work, and she's been building on, like, she's built some amazing transformational online courses, all extremely high quality. And so now there's all of these like governing bodies inside of the birthing space all over the world. Every country has their own. Most provinces or states have their own governing bodies. And so that one course can now be licensed to all these different governing bodies. It could become an accredited actual program for these schools. Most of the online schools that are trying to get with the times and bring their work online, they suck at content creation. They suck at producing like highly engaging online courses that people want to pay attention to and complete. And if you come in with the expertise, with a completely done course that's already done, then you could come to with the silver platter of like, this is already done. You guys just pay me $10,000 down and 20 or 30% of all the revenue generate from this thing, and you can make it a part of your school. So
Yep.
that sort of thing is like, I would say the hardest part of licensing is making the product or coming up with the content. The second hardest thing is just spending the time to research all of the apps or all the governing bodies or institutions that are in that particular niche, and then doing the outreach emails of like just trying to get your foot in the door for a conversation. And I'm amazed, like having reached out to so many apps, how many of them respond, even respond to say, no, thanks, like this is great. But many of them do respond and are interested. So I just want to share that. If you want to be paid like a pro, make stuff that's really good.
Highly recommend that. Susan's got a great question. I'm so glad she asked this question. She said, when you left social media, how important is the quality of your website and its automation processes? Now, the fact that Susan asked this question is proof that social media has influenced how we think about business. Okay. Most people think business is social media. It's not. Business is not done on social media. People don't pay you on social media. They actually end up on your website, which is very important. And that's where they're having the experience of working with you. And Susan, and I'm saying this out of love, and I'm so happy you asked this question. It's not anything negative towards you. It's just that, the automations, the emails, all that kind of stuff, that what they're interacting when they actually go to your actual website, which is your business, your storefront, is really what's important. This is like saying to a restaurant owner that the flyers they're handing out at the supermarket is more important than the actual decor of the restaurant. And that's what social media has convinced us of, is that like what your engagement and your brand on social media and what you put out there and your content is actually more important than when people actually get to your business, go to your home, which is your website. And a lot of people, I've gone to their websites and there's nothing there. Like, it's like me inviting you to my house, and I don't even offer you a cup of water or a meal, right? So it's really important for you to, regardless if you're on or off social media, to have a great place for people to land, meaning they have something to chew on, which is your content, your blogs, your articles, even your sales pages can be very informative. Videos that are interactive that to teach them how to see if your product or service is a good fit for them. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can look at our own website, webinarninja.com. We worked very hard on this concept so that when people go on our website, they can figure out really quickly, okay, this is a product for me. I see that there's some customer stories. I see there's blog posts. There's something for them to make an informed decision. So I hope that helps, Susan. But Bradley, if you want to add something, let me know.
I just completely agree. I'm not going to add too much because that was perfectly put with the restaurant analogy. Like, I guess the question is like, how do you want people to feel in their first 5 seconds of being on your website? What is the feeling you want them to have? And then do that feeling test. and
Yep.
go to your website and ask yourself, does it make you feel that way, or does it cause confusion? Is it clear what the purpose is? And then get 5 friends to do the same test of like, how did you feel the first 5 seconds of being on my website?
Love it.
And that's
a
a
good
good
one.
test.
Love it. We got a couple of kind of even ones. I like this question by James. This says, I got a little late. Did you talk about integration marketing, which is how Microsoft grew without spending any money on ads, Windows included in all PCs? Think about how you can include your product within someone else's and make it feel like a bonus or necessary. I love it. I love this idea, James. This is something that we do with Webinar Ninja. We integrate with other apps like ConvertKit and things like that, and we're on their website and their apps so that people can know that, hey, if you want to run webinars, this is an option. So we don't pay anything. It's kind of like a reciprocal relationship, because ConvertKit gets the same benefit from us when people sign up for Webinar Ninja and see that ConvertKit is one of the options that you can integrate with. So, but you might be saying, what does it have to do with coaching or content? I've done this with coaching and content where I've guest posted. I've done videos for other course platforms. Listen, yes, it's competitive, but there are people out there that that can't teach everything, right? They can't cover every topic. One of the examples I give all the time is digital photography school. I taught photographers how to go pro with their business, how to create a website, how to set their prices for their services. You know, that site didn't really have anything like that. It was more about the gear and the technique of photography. So there's opportunities for you to really get in front of audiences with what James is saying.
Yeah, I'm just going to, again, echo that. That's beautifully put. And again, that comes into the collaboration idea of like, what is your product or service a complementary fit for? Is there a business that is the perfect complement to what you're doing, that you can, you know, together, your products together make something more powerful than the 2 products apart?
Awesome. A few more questions and then we'll wrap up. Susan says, has anyone watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix? Very eye-opening. Yep, great comment, Susan. I've watched it myself. It's one of those you probably have to rewatch, because when you watch it, you're kind of like shocked by it. But, there's a lot of
it's crazy.
A lot of great information.
Yeah.
LT says, how do we apply these strategies? How do these strategies apply to a business that is a website and based solely on blogging? For example, a brand ambassador for website review products and directing people to affiliate sources to buy products reviewed. The site is not connected to any social media and relies purely on organic traffic development. So every business is going to be different, of course. I'm very familiar with your business model, and it's all about SEO, really. It's because people are searching for the products that you're endorsing. But of course, you could definitely do partnerships. You could definitely do webinars. You could definitely do things to promote these products and do showcases, create great media like videos to do demos and reviews. So definitely there are some options there. Like you said, social media maybe is not something that will help you anyway.
And I mean, on that note, I mean, if you do have a big enough traffic source that you could actually approach companies and brands and they would pay you to do a review of their product. And so you could earn straight up money that way. Plus you would get paid if you're doing like really great video reviews, etc., as Omar said. So there's definitely ways there to go about that if you're getting the traffic.
Love it. Scott, love the idea of the ending jingles to the seminar. Says, Omar, can you add an ending jingle to the seminar when you play a commercial jingle of your choice? That's definitely something that we could do. Okay, guys, we're going to wrap up. Thank you so much for being on today's webinar. And thank you, Bradley, for being here today and being an amazing guest teacher and teaching us a session. There will be a replay, guys, if you'd like to watch the recording. I just want to end, and of course, I'm going to talk more about this tomorrow in our webinar for members. And if you want to jump in on that webinar, go ahead. I just want to end with something that I think is really important, given we talked about social media and all that stuff. I think what social media has done, in my opinion, the worst thing it's done for business owners is that it it really made business complicated for no reason. Like the bottom line is business is actually quite simple. It doesn't mean it's easy. It just means it's simple. Let me give you an example. If I had a hairdresser, if I was a hairdresser, right? If I cut people's hair decently, I was polite, my shop was clean, and I don't know, the place smelled nice, right? The basics, right? If I did that every single time somebody came into my shop, I would dominate. And the reason why I would dominate is because it's basic, it's boring. People don't want to do the boring stuff over and over and over. That's important, right? And we want to jump and say, well, maybe if I jump into this new social media, maybe Clubhouse is the answer to all my problems. No, it's the basic boring stuff that actually makes your business go. And the thing is that most people don't do the boring stuff consistently. Most people, like in the hairdresser example, right? Their shop is not always clean. They're not always friendly. Maybe they cut you in your neck or whatever, blah, 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 right? And you never go back. So if you just do the basics every day in your business, whatever that is, right? And I speak to a lot of entrepreneurs, and I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, they try to convince me, no, my business is different. It's complicated. It's not. It's not. You have a service. People want it. Give it to them consistently at a high quality. You're going to win. That's it. Just see it in a 10-year period, and it'll save you a lot of gray hairs like me right here. Okay. Let's wrap up. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Bradley, again. It was awesome to have you, man. And we'll be in touch.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Take care, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.